Time's up, Admiral.
Here it comes.
Chevron 1, encoded.
For my ally is the Force, and the powerful ally it is. Life creates it, makes it grow.
You failed, Your Highness. I am a Jedi, like my father before me.
And let's set the dogs of war.
Chevron 2 encoded.
Conan, what is best in life? Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, to hear the lamentation of your women.
It's all in the reflexes.
Well, also said you're heavy into martial arts, Tai Chi and all that killer stuff.
I suppose we have to register you as a lethal weapon.
Chevron 3 encoded.
And somebody ought to belt you in the mouth. But I won't. I won't. The hell I will.
Chevron 4 encoded.
Do you expect me to talk? No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die.
Chevron 5 encoded.
You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want to. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Chevron 6 encoded.
Now come on, you can, monkey boy.
Great Scott.
Back off, man. I'm a scientist.
You shall not pass!
I thought I'd die fighting side by side with an elf.
What about side by side with a friend?
A day may come when the courage of men fails, when we forsake our friends and break all bonds of fellowship. But it is not this day.
Chevron 7 is locked.
Hail and howdy, everybody. Welcome to Saturday Night Drive-In, another Christmas edition, I guess, where we sit back, relax, we talk some movies, and sometimes we complain, sometimes we don't, and I'm going to complain tonight. Jed, I'm going to complain tonight. You, Ginger, you, I got nothing. I got nothing. What? Yeah, you don't do enough to piss me off for me to be able to be a super Grinch to you. So all I can do is call you a goddamn daywalking ginger who would melt in sunlight. That's all I can do.
Am I the most difficult person you have in the Grinch or Be Merry Tears?
Yes.
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 Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Because you don't piss me off.
Pride in that.
You don't piss me off. I mean,
I can try to if you like.
No. You might tonight. It depends on how this conversation goes. But I mean, it's easy for me for Dermy. It's Dermy. It's Dermy.
There's a wellspring of insults for that, man.
It's very easy for Dermy. And it's easy for me to, and you know, it's easy for me to call Weasel a shaved furry, and that he cleans himself with his tongue and stuff like that. And that Kratos wants to see my channel destroyed. That he actively chooses things to make sure I get channel strikes and have copyright strikes and people get angry at me. He does it on purpose. And also that he purposely he goes to a list to choose the worst movies of all time to make me watch. That's where he got The Sex Lives of Potato Men, which was a terrible movie.
Do they at least do good in the reviews? Like the chat made me watch it.
I haven't
out reviews.
Sometimes I have a backlog of those. I'm kind of saving them for when I have a real lack of content to put up. Because I'll clip them out, slap them up. I mean, I have 4 or 5 I haven't put up. Thinking of saving them for the weekend of the Day of Doom, where I will not actually going to put up content for a few days outside the Day of Doom stream, and just
schedule them out in advance.
That like that prep them that week. I have the files of the streams on hand. I haven't edited them out yet or anything, but I have them saved. Because we have to delete our StreamYard's archive every few weeks, or for me, it's actually very quickly since I stream all the damn time now. So I have the actual streams saved. Because the quality is better when we download it from StreamYards rather than,
of course,
from the YouTube version, because that's a lower quality. So I tend to save those. But yeah, so I'm thinking of just saving them right now because they don't move that much, and some of them are so random like because some of the stuff they make me watch, it's like nobody cares or ever heard of it. I mean, yeah, the one I did a couple days ago, Lord of War, it's a legitimate movie. So that one might.
But none of them are new movies or really entwined with the algorithm. So when you release it, shouldn't affect it.
Yeah,
unless you're saving for like a new release, like a sequel's coming, and you did the first
movie. I mean,
but besides that, timing.
Right now, I have two things. One, two things. One, I'm saving for when, like I said, there's either a real lack of anything, but if I really look forward to the week, it's like, wow, I got nothing. Okay, I just got to put something out. Two, when I'm going to be out of town, or there's only one real bit of content, because when I do Day of Doom, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday's Day of Doom, then Tuesday, there's at least 3, possibly 4 days to travel back that Wednesday when I schedule all this. That's at least 4 days where I'm not going to be doing anything. So if I have a few of them saved up, put up a couple a day, it's just something. Make sure the channel isn't not active. And also at the same time, with the channel and as the level it is, might be better to save them for a day for a later time when more people are subscribed and they're watching the content. And then, okay, here's constant content because I've been saving these up. They're from a couple years ago, guys, but here they are. It's the same me. I haven't changed.
And you have to remember during Day of Doom, you're going to be live streaming a lot.
The whole day. I mean, we're gonna have to figure out to break it up. I mean, one of y'all is gonna have to have a GoPro because, and I'm probably gonna give you powers on the account because I can't. Since I'll be the focus, I won't be able to actually manage the stream. So one of y'all gonna have to have a GoPro because I have to be on camera the whole damn time. We're gonna have intervals where we break it up because the whole after 12 hours it resets the chat and stuff like that. So there'll be intermissions, so to speak. But for that day, that's gonna be a trip. That's gonna be a trip. But we're not here to talk about that. That was just a little example of movie watching, going reviewing. It fits in here. But we're here to talk. But how are you doing? How are you doing after last night Ballbusters, where it was god awful at some points with the singing.
Well, Ballbusters was fine, but you had the absolute gall to give me some terrible news right before the stream, and I can't not think about it. I keep coming up with arguments to fix the situation.
That's for tomorrow. I literally decided we're going to talk about that article I sent you tomorrow. It's gamer related, guys. Oh no, something else
in the green room.
Oh, in the green room.
Within seconds before we went live, but at least we're going to be talking about.
that. Okay,
that's hurting my brain right now.
Okay,
so,
yeah.
It'd be nice to get into the discussion to distract me from. Did you do that on purpose just to derail me so that you could come out on top in this discussion?
No, I had meant to tell you about it. Period. I didn't know how bad you were going to take it, though. I didn't know. I just thought it was funny because. I'm sorry, guys. We're keeping you in the dark on this one. I just thought it would be funny if I told you that and I said, yes, I confirm this because I know. So anyway, but how are you doing otherwise? Can't focus on this movie. That's all I can say.
We're going to focus on this movie, yes. And it's almost the Christmas season, so we're having a good time watching
almost
Christmas movies.
You and I, we've been wearing Santa hats for 3 weeks.
It's almost Christmas.
Okay.
Say it like that.
I'm wearing this thing I'm wearing this thing till Wednesday. After Wednesday, it goes back in the Ziploc bag and tucked away because then that way.
Because you're not streaming on Thursday.
Yeah, well, I might. I'm going to poll on Monday, but if I do, I won't be on camera. So
I'll probably stream something on Christmas Day. But
yeah, I'm gonna run a poll next week for if they want me to game.
When does the Christmas season stop for you? Is it the 26th? Is it New Year's?
Well. Christmas ends on Christmas, but it's still the holidays until New Year's because the tree stays up until New Year's.
Okay.
So,
I don't know if you're. It sounds like you're a fan of what Dean Winchester says about it. Always take down your Christmas decorations by New Year's, or you might be filleted by a hooker from God.
I forgot about that line.
That line.
I like seeing the tree. I love having the tree up. We have a tiny little fake tree. It goes back in the box. We have to get a new one though, but I'm waiting to buy a new one for when I move because this one's it's old now. It's a good 6-7 years old. It'll get dumpstered and get a new one.
Well.
But I'm all for fake trees. No muss, no fuss. Put it back in the box. But if it's a small one, put it in the closet. If it's a large one, put it in the garage. And
no mess, no sap,
mess.
no.
I hated real tree
watering.
And then disposal. Oh, where can I dump it? Who are we going to take it away? I don't know. What's going to happen?
Cut it up into firewood if you're lucky.
Oh Lord, I wouldn't. Where am I even going to do that? Well, I don't have a real.
No,
house.
I mean like if you're lucky enough to have the capability to burn it. Otherwise, it's a pain.
No. Yeah. So yeah, a real cheese are a pain in the ass because I hate standing there. I'm the one that has to stand there and hold it while someone is crouched and making sure it's in the tree stand and screwing it in there. Is it tilted? Right. Is it straight? I was the guy that stood like this, holding it, waiting, feeling disgusting because my fingers are getting sticky. Sap. You disgusting people out there. Anyway, so yeah, but no, I love this time of year. Christmas itself ends on Christmas Day. After that, and then it's through New Year's, and then it's over. Then it's the New Year, and we get back to normal. Like I said, the Santa hat. I keep the Santa hat in a Ziploc bag tucked away so that it doesn't get damaged or anything throughout the year. And then it just it stays there and it's happy. And then I pull it out again next December because that's what we do. We're here though to talk about a Christmas movie chosen by Chat Choice. It was chosen by you guys. You voted on it. It's here, and I've seen many a Christmas Carol adaptation in my time. I've seen them. I've seen a lot of them. Some good, some bad. Very first ever one I saw was a Disney version, the original Scrooge McDuck, Ebenezer Scrooge McDuck one, the old cartoon one. That was the first one I saw as a little kid. And that kind of frames my reference on this. Can't beat the smell. I don't want goddamn Christmas pine trees smell in the house. Goddamn.
Pine scent's a great smell.
No.
I'm kind of with him on this one. It's
I'm
a
not.
good smell.
No. I don't need pine fresh. No, I don't need that. No, I disagree. Algrim, I disagree. Anyway, so you guys voted that we do the Muppet Christmas Carol. And I do not apologize for the fact that I am likely to get pushback tonight from some of my comments. But I want to frame it in this as we start this discussion. This is a children's movie. This is not a movie made with serious intent. Okay? I understand that. So when I say that people who call this the best adaptation of Christmas Carol, I will take a used Gonzo puppet and beat you with it. Because it's a children's movie. It's a children's movie. It's not serious. And while Michael Caine's performance is good, it's not serious and dramatic. He's semi-mailing it in, if you ask me. Semi-mailing it in. Because he's acting in front of Muppets. And don't get me wrong. I like Muppets. Or I liked them when I was a kid. Okay? I watched the hell out of all that stuff. I watched Muppet Babies. I had merch. I had all this stuff. I had a lot of fun with Muppets. But then I grew up, and I don't find them funny anymore. I didn't find anything about this movie funny, Jed. Nothing was funny to me. It was all obnoxious. Call me a Grinch. Call me a curmudgeon. And I can't make you like you. I didn't find any about. I mean, this movie, it stuck to, I would say, 90% of the Christmas Carol story points. Is that fair to say? Mm-hmm. Skipped a couple things.
The basic plot, absolutely.
Skipped a few things at the end there and fudged a few things for Muppet purposes. But
made Marley into two different Muppets.
Well, they had to make ghosts. Yeah, because they had to work in the heckling guys from the balcony. They had to work those guys in somehow. I mean, but then all right. I'm gonna keep, if I don't stop and let you get a word in, I'm gonna keep ranting for another 10 minutes. You liked it. You enjoyed it. I'm not saying I didn't hate it. I'm just saying it's a children's movie. And I can't take it seriously or really enjoy it. But you liked it.
Well, I do have to preface, I'm not a Muppets fan. I didn't grow up with them. It's not that I'm not a fan. It's just I was never really exposed to the Muppets, except for through osmosis. Of course, I know who Kermit the Frog is and Miss Piggy and all of that. But I've never really watched anything Muppets, any of the movies, any of the original shows or anything like that.
I grew up with all that shit. I grew up with all that shit when it started.
I have an example to tell you just how much I don't know Muppets or even Sesame Street or anything like that. Halfway through the movie, I leaned over to my wife and says, "Is Count Chocula going to be in this?" And with all earnestness, I said that.
Oh,
and apparently, I was thinking about a Count from Sesame Street, but it was actually a cereal mascot.
That's the Count.
So.
That's the Count in Sesame Street. And Count Chocula.
So I was thinking of the Count, but said Count
Yeah,
Chocula.
but while that's a Muppet, it's not one of the Muppets. That's
Muppets.
The Muppets. Even though Kermit the Frog was a guest on Sesame Street when I was a kid, that was still Jim Henson stuff, but that wasn't the Muppets. That was Sesame Street.
Right.
Please tell me Rachel glared at you when you said that. Please tell me she glared at you.
She thought I was kidding. She actually just started laughing, and then she's like, "Oh wait, you're serious? No, Count Chocula is not going to be in the Muppets Christmas Carol." But that just shows you how little experience I have with this franchise.
So you're actually a good person for this because you have a neutral stance on it. You weren't
very much a neutral stance. Yeah, because I've never seen this movie specifically either, and I do love the Christmas Carol, but I haven't seen a lot of the classic versions of it either. Like the Patrick Stewart one you talk about a lot. I haven't seen that one.
That's my preferred one. Yeah.
So I went into this with a lot of actually negative expectations, partly because of the way that you presented to me, saying that you didn't like it, and I just assumed that the childish nature that you even referred to here a moment ago just wouldn't work for me. I figured this would kind of be a Scrooge situation where I'd say, I see what they were going for, and I understand why people like it, and it has intrinsic quality. It just didn't work for me. Surprisingly, it really did. The humor worked for me. I enjoyed the charm. And the musical numbers were fine. It worked for me, but it's the basic plot of the Christmas Carol, so they didn't really innovate in the plot.
Yeah.
So I can't give this a high score because of that. But I definitely enjoyed my time. I was smiling through it. I definitely think I look like the Ghost of Christmas Present, and the Ghost of Christmas Past was freaky as fuck. It is
that was a poor choice for a Muppet. That I don't know why they went with that. I mean, the Ghost of Christmas Past is supposed to be a hollow-looking person. They're supposed to be kind of ethereal, but this floating child thing, it was a little creepy. It was. You're completely right.
It's the creepiest ghost in any version of the Christmas Carol I've seen. It really freaked me out, but Michael Caine really sold the movie for me. There's a meme that's gone around that says the reason Michael Caine and Tim Curry are the best live-action stars in Muppet movies is because Tim Curry treated himself like a Muppet, and Michael Caine treated the Muppets like people.
Yeah,
and
I agree.
I can definitely see that.
I mean, that's what I said. Michael Caine's performance is good, but there's a level of drama that I think belongs in Scrooge that he didn't deliver, and because it's a children's movie,
They had to tone it down.
Can we agree this is a children's movie? Can we agree on that?
Oh, absolutely. This is, I mean, you can have nostalgia, you can enjoy it like I did as an adult, but it's targeted at kids. It's the Muppets, so of course it is. So some of the more harsh details of the original story were smoothed over, but I was surprised there were some cases where they kept it in. They mentioned death. They mentioned
but there's the thing.
Of dying alone and everything like that.
They skipped the moment of him getting pushed into the coffin and the grave. They went right past that and just had him appear back. And again, children's movie, I accept it. But I still will take slight pointage off because it's the shock of being in the casket in the grave and being buried that is the final thing that really drives it home for him of you're alone in this grave and nobody gives a shit. And also they didn't have his nephew there to see it because the whole thing is that only his nephew shows up to his funeral. That's it. That's part of the thing. But I mean, and just again to compare it, this is not, in my opinion, the greatest one, but it's my favorite because of Sir Patrick's performance. Just it's totally, he really Shakespeareans it up, even though it's not a Shakespearean tale, it's a Dickens tale. But
you need Shakespearean actors for a lot.
You need a Shakespearean actor, and that's why it's so good, and I really like it. And you're gonna watch it because you asked me to compare and contrast this one next week with the Muppets. So I hope you watch it so that you can get the full effect of what I talk about when I compare and contrast them. But
I might wait a week because we have already watched 2 Christmas carols this Christmas season, and I plan on watching the Doctor Who one as well. So 4 Christmas carols in 2 weeks.
I can understand that. That's fair. Because for me, it's just my Christmas schedule, and I'm going through them, and I'll start in earnest on Monday watching Christmas movies leading up. I mean, frankly, I'm probably going to
Lethal Weapon.
I am going to watch Lethal Weapon because I watch all 4 Lethal Weapons for Christmas. I do that now. I watch because I watch it first, and then I go, well, I got to keep watching.
You got to keep going.
I got to keep going.
We need to do the second one because I absolutely love the second one.
Oh, so much fun!
I like more than the first one.
Oh well, that's because the characters are more. We don't have to introduce characters. Now we're in there, and it's so much fun. I love
Joe Pesci's a great addition.
Yeah. Okay. But back to this now. So I am pushing back on this because so many times people, when they do these Christmas movie ranking lists, they go, "Oh, Muppet Christmas movie is goated. It's the best." It's not, because you mentioned it also. So the songs. This movie is a half an hour too long because of the songs.
The songs just feel jarring half the time. The only
They
tune that
are.
I can remember is "We're Marley and Marley," and that's it. Just that motif. That's all I was able to
And here's the
retain.
problem. Here's the problem. I understand. Children's movie, it's the Muppets, so there's humor. But you're adding humor to moments in the Christmas Carol which don't need humor. And that's a problem. And a lot of it is because it's a children's movie. And you have to make it easy for the kids to digest. Because I doubt very much, and this was a Disney production. So,
of course,
because Disney owned the Muppets. This is 92. This is the beginning of Renaissance Disney. So Eisner, I think, must have purchased the Muppets around that time and put this out there. Now, my examples of where the humor, first one you show right there, Marley and Marley. Jacob Marley, because there's only really one Marley, Jacob Marley. That's supposed to be a frightening, dramatic moment of him telling Ebenezer Scrooge, "You're going to hell if you don't change your ways. I'm in hell. I got a furlough."
Should be terrifying.
Yeah, I got a furlough to come up here to tell you that you have a chance to not be in hell like I am. But instead, it's the heckling guys, doing their shtick, and I'm completely not entertained because the hecklers, they have their place on the Muppet Show in the balcony to me. That's where I know them. That's where I remember them, and that's where they belong. Not ruining a dramatic scene. And then, of course, and I know you had to figure out a way to get him in there because he's one of the top 5 most famous Muppets. Gonzo narrating the whole thing and adding momentary comedy with, at that point in time, Rizzo was a new addition to the Muppets at that time. He was not a classic Muppet. He was a 90s addition to the Muppets along with the little bunny dude. They shoved that in there, and suddenly their whole shtick throughout the thing, it's always dragging away because
it doesn't really add any context. Like,
No.
you want a narrator or someone like that who's describing the story on set to add details to what's going on in your mind, what the characters are thinking, feeling, or if absolutely necessary, fill in some exposition that doesn't make sense to show. They're just saying the obvious things, like he went home and lit some candles.
And they're
You're
doing
right.
sight gags. And they're doing slapstick sight gags where Rizzo suffers a lot of battle damage, falling down on shit, lands on the goose and burns his feet, or turns to ice and Gonzo breaks him. Is afraid when they're flying through the air, through the Christmas past and stuff like that. Fun for kids, for somebody who likes the Christmas Carol as a story and takes it as a serious story like I do. I'm not enjoying it as an adult. Kids, it's great, but not for me as an adult.
I totally understand why people love this movie. I really enjoyed it. I think it's going to be regular at my
understand it
household for Christmas. But I agree, it can't be the best version of the Christmas Carol because it changes so many aspects of it, loses a lot of that emotional impact. So it can be among people's favorite list of Christmas stories.
That's
Christmas movies
fine.
in general. Absolutely
That's fine.
get that. But it cannot have any place on a best Christmas Carol.
But people put it at the top of that list. There are people who do that. I've seen lists made with this movie. They say this is the best adaptation of Christmas Carol. No, it isn't, because it loses the drama. That's my primary thing. You lose the dramatic effect. You lose. Now, I'm not going to say fear, but you lose the. I guess I will say fear. It's the only word I can use to describe it. The low grade fear that is supposed to etch into you of this is what behaves, because and it glosses over things. When it goes to Christmas past, they leave out Scrooge's sister in this one, and the connection to his nephew and stuff like that, and how she was the bright spot until she was always ill and stuff like that, and then when she passed away on Christmas, stuff like that, they leave that stuff out as to why
Christmas past really had nothing of
it had nothing, and that's supposed
to
to be the biggest meat to it.
Because you're trying to sympathize him at this point. At the beginning of the movie, with his the beginning of the story, you see his interactions with Bob Cratchit, and you're like, wow, Scrooge is a bad guy. I don't want to root for him. He's a terrible person. Let's see him suffer. and then you see Christmas Past and see why he's become the horrible
Every
man he
Christmas is a miserable memory for him.
It doesn't necessarily justify it, but it humanizes him to such a
Yeah.
degree that you want him to be redeemed.
Mm-hmm.
You have to see that trauma to justify the redemption arc.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it doesn't do that. Instead, they just set it up so they can have a classroom sight gag with the statues falling off and then bouncing it and all that kind of stuff. And it's lost. And then with the rest of the past, they nailed that. So though Fozzie Fizzywig was really that I didn't like any of that at all, because they went away from the importance that while Fizzywig was a good businessman, he also knew when to turn it off and be merry. They show it, but it doesn't really carry over in that section. Of course, also he passed away. He's not an old man at the end of the movie like they had Fozzie being an old man there. That's a long time ago. He passed away. His family passed away. They were, and Scrooge and that was a turning point. And Scrooge almost went that way when he found love, but then went away from it and went to business, all that kind of stuff. There's something lost when you're going for Muppet sight gags and Muppet humor to make it appealing to kids. And I'm going back to them, keep going back to it. You're right when you say it's appealing, and it should be on it should be on a list for holiday movies that are fun and entertaining, but there's a limit. And
it's an oddity without depth.
Ooh, that's an excellent phrase. I like that. That's a good way to put it.
And I enjoy oddities. There are emotionally fulfilling aspects of them, but they can't be in conversations for the best written films or the most compelling films or anything like that. That's why I'm going to rate this movie surprisingly low, even though I enjoyed every second of it. There was a lot of times I smiled or laughed outright. The music, I am among the few people who like classic cinema, who appreciate our transition away from constant musicals. I think musicals should be musicals when there's a specific talent behind it and a specific reason behind it. Like you're bringing your powerhouses to bear and leaning into your talents. Like Sound of Music has to be a musical. You lose so much of that story.
To keep it in season, White Christmas. To keep it in season, White Christmas.
Yeah. But in that era, through the 40s through even the 80s a little bit, it was faded off well by then. But during this era, it was just you had to be a musical for musical's sake. And these forced musicals always come off as stale to me.
But it's for kids. That's the excuse they make it. It's done for kids.
Well, I don't know if you know this, but when Pixar was first getting founded and they were making Toy Story, they were told to make it a musical. Otherwise,
that would have been a disaster.
And they said no specifically because a musical would have hurt that film. And it wasn't their strength. So Toy Story wouldn't be the juggernaut it was if it had been forced to be a musical, like was the tradition for decades in Hollywood. So I think this movie suffers from that a little bit.
I agree.
Music never lands for me. Once
Kermit breaking out in this song as Bob Cratchit is walking home, that's not. And also, the whole thing about Scrooge's workplace, it's only Bob Cratchit. And it did screw up. He makes Bob Cratchit come into work on Christmas. He doesn't give him the day off. And there are no other employees there for rat side gig humor. And all that kind of stuff.
10 rats?
Yeah,
that was a little ridiculous.
Yeah, it's the stuff done for kids' sake that make it unappealing to me. And I'm saying that just because
that's understandable. It's a target audience.
Yeah, and that's why that's where the objectivity comes in. That's why, despite my ranting and raving, my rating might be a little surprising to you, despite the fact that I'm doing nothing but bitching and moaning right now. And I know some people are probably not happy with how I'm approaching this, but I have to be honest. When if I'm going to talk about A Christmas Carol, I'm going to compare it to my favorite and others that I've seen over the years. And just for an example, I mentioned earlier, the first one I saw was the original when we were first introduced to Scrooge McDuck as Uncle Scrooge, when he was put in that one, where Mickey was Bob Crash and all that kind of stuff. Disney made that one pretty serious. They didn't ham it up. It had a serious, spooky tone to it with the noting, all that kind of stuff. And it landed. And I guess in 92, they wanted to play it safe and decided to take out. And we go to the Christmas present stuff now. And another song, You Lose Me. And then when they go, now they hit the beats, certain beats. They go to the Cratchit home, this and that. And that's actually legitimate stuff there. Although, again, Tiny Tim singing a song. You're instantly pulling me out of it. But you go to then his nephew's home.
Well,
Okay, go ahead.
I do want to say with Tiny Tim, that sequence was very good at getting just enough of the emotional appeal without being freaky for kids.
Yeah.
They straight up say, I don't know the future. That is not my domain, but I foresee a...
And that's a real line. That's straight up line for Christmas Carol. Yeah.
That line works perfectly there, and they show the cane later in the Christmas future, but they're willing to lean into the darkness in that moment. There were a few times where I was surprised that they were willing to go all the way, and I think with Tiny Tim they went all the way, and the Ghost of Christmas
they had
Future.
to.
I don't know if you ever thought this, but as soon as I saw the Ghost of Christmas Future with that big maw,
I thought it was gonna be Big Bird.
Big Bird. Just with how big that was, I thought something would come out of that to lighten the mood. Like, this is the dark moment. Let's have one of the Muppets crawl out of the hood. It's like, oh, this is way too big for me, and lighten the mood.
They
But they
stuck
really
to
kept
it.
it
It's
serious.
smart.
So
the Ghost of Christmas Future doesn't speak, and that's the smart thing. But in the present, they screwed up the nephew because they left out an important thing about how the whole sequence of why is this seat here? He's not going to come. When they talk about you leaving him a seat, you always ask him, never comes. He's my uncle. And despite the fact that he is, I still love him, and he's always welcome in this home. They skipped over that. All they did was have him be made fun of and go away. And they lose the impact that his nephew is a good man and is a jolly man and still has love in his heart for his uncle, who has never shown him a whole lot of kindness. And that's part of the melting when he sees that, when he watches them play the games. And then by not doing that, you miss the scene where he comes to them after, and he doesn't, and also they mess up, he doesn't go to the Cratchit's home. He sends it there anonymously, and then he surprises Bob when he comes to work by showing his change of heart. And we're going to do better. We're going to put coal in here. We're going to be warm now. I'm going to raise your pay. You deserve more. You've been a good employee and stuff like that. But then they leave out the part where he's supposed to go to his nephew's home on Christmas Day, because that was the Christmas Eve party. Then there's Christmas Day. And he says very contritely, will you have me? Can I come in, please? I don't want to be out in the cold anymore. And it's just, yes. And then the wife and the nephew are like, yes, welcome. You're welcome, Uncle. We're happy to have you here. And it's that reconciliation. And this movie would have been primed for it. It's a kids movie. That kind of family warmthness, it was primed for him, and they just eliminated it from the movie.
You lose that with a big banquet dinner.
Yeah,
and they want to show all the Muppets at once for exciting finale. But I agree, you lose a lot of the impact of that story. And Christmas time is about spending time with your family and being kind to others. So sending the turkey to the Cratchits, raising the rent, you're doing the kindness part. But the best parts of Christmas, at least most people that I've ever talked to, their happiest Christmas moments aren't at big Christmas parties or hanging out with 100 people that they don't know. It's the intimate family moments where it's just you and your closest loved ones around the fire. And that's, I think, what a lot of people associate with the epitome of the Christmas feeling. And this movie loses on that. Because that moment that you're talking about is such a powerful moment.
It's a great
He's
moment.
just there, contrite, hat in his hand, saying, can I come in? I don't.
And when Sir Patrick delivers that moment, you feel it. When he delivers that moment in this one, it's a great moment. Will you have me? Will you have me? And here's the thing too, that I know it's a kids movie. Proper dialect and English of the time
accents.
using this one, the accents, the diction, and all that kind of stuff. The word usage. It's a Muppet movie. They abandoned it completely. It's 1992, except for Michael Caine, who is quoting the proper lines from the story dialogue at one point. They abandon the narrative, the dialogue of A Christmas Carol for Muppet jokes and Muppet tones, because I just cannot take Miss Piggy seriously. I can't.
I think you and I are pretty much in universal agreement. The movie's at its best when it leans into the original story and takes those serious moments seriously. And at its worst when it dismisses all those that seriousness for Muppet humor. Now, the Muppet humor works for me, but that's where it becomes subjective. My rating is going to be surprisingly low to a lot of people, I think, because I recognize the difference between objective quality and subjective quality. So that those last few points that a lot of people get this up to a 10 out of 10 or something like that, that's the subjective adding to the strong. I think there is a strong objective base to this, a very strong, but that's mostly from the original story. They're building on such a firm foundation with the emotional beats already laid out for them. So they just had to walk the path and tweak it to be a Muppets thing. So
And
that's not talent necessarily. That's just skill enough to pick the right story.
When you dumb it down for kids, even though, like you said, they hit a lot of the points, but they leave some things out. They move some things around. Kids don't need things dumbed down for them. They don't need kids are not as dumb as people current day think they are. Now, of course, it's 1992. Disney's in the middle of the Renaissance Disney moment, so Michael Eisner probably didn't want to take any chances because they were riding high. They were having one success after another. It's this is the play it safe movie. This is a very play it safe movie. They take no chances. They leaning heavy into the Muppets, and this is the peak of the Muppets at the time. Honestly, this is the peak of Muppets popularity. Muppet Babies had just ended a couple years before. There was a rash of new Muppet movies at the time. This was one among many Muppet movies that came out in the early 90s. And there was, that's probably when they put in the ride at Disney World too. They probably put the ride and stuff like that. Muppets were at their peak. People were enjoying them. Kids loved them. I was growing out of it at that point because I'm a teenager at this point. I'm not really into Muppets anymore. I have fond memories, but I'm not into it. But I still appreciate that the quality of Henson puppetry, that with these Muppets, because movable puppets, Muppets. For people who don't know, Muppet is movable puppet.
I did not know that.
That's essentially what it is, movable puppet, where it's an emoting, where that's the idea of Henson magic, where they have these puppets, and through the craftsmanship and the articulation and the work of the puppeteers and the voice acting, you're able to get real emotion out of these entities on the screen. That's why it's Henson magic. And
with the
this
exception
movie's
of Michael Caine, Henson's the star. The Henson technology.
Well, actually, yeah, because
right,
Jim
because
Henson he had recently passed away at this point because they dedicate the movie to him in the opening. But the Henson magic is the star of this show outside of Michael Caine, because that's what you bring your kids to see. Because here's where I will be objective about this: you're bringing your kids to see this because you want them to see Henson magic, the Muppet magic, which these anthropomorphized characters are so alive that you forget they're a puppet because they're able to have them emote so well and have them seem so alive. And this is early 90s, where in the 80s, you never saw their legs in the 80s. The fact that in the 90s,
when I was the most impressed when they showed the legs.
That's the advanced technology where they've been improving for years and years, where suddenly, Kermit has legs. They all have legs now. That's the advancement of magic. So of Henson magic. So we cannot not talk about the beautiful artistry of Henson puppetry, of what the Henson Workshop did.
And from a filmmaker's perspective, like myself, I love the technology that is behind filmmaking magic, not just the puppetry side, but seeing how they were able to show the legs. I can tell when they're doing stop motion, like when Rizzo the rat falls down the chimney and is on the turkey, that's stop motion. But when Kermit's walking along the road with Tiny Tim on his shoulder, I don't know if you could tell what that was. That moment where he's just walking down the road singing.
No.
That's my favorite shot of the movie. I don't care about the music, but the puppets are suspended, and so they cropped out the wires or whatever, the arm that they had, and the road was a ball that was rolling beneath them, and the backdrop was being slid across the backdrop.
Oh, that's a classic trick. That's some classic
with the exception of
right
cutting out the arm or the strings or whatever, that's all in shot.
Oh, they might have had a green sleeve on or something, because green sleeves were in use by then, so they might have had a green sleeve on there.
So something like that, but just the majority of that was in shot. I was blown away by that. Jim Henson Studios or whatever.
Yeah,
they're incredible. They always impress me, even when it's not the Muppets. Like we've seen other things with them. Farscape is from that same studio. I'm always impressed with their technical prowess.
I mean, right here around the time, this is also a children's movie, and it doesn't hold up in its adult, but it's still, Dark Crystal is a work of art of Henson magic. It's a masterpiece. It's a masterpiece, visual masterpiece. It's a very light on story. It's not a very deep story. I mean, as a 5-year-old, I was obsessed with this story, but you grow out of it. But when it comes to art, the Dark Crystal is a work of art. And without the Dark Crystal, without Pants of Magic, you don't get to, like you just mentioned, you don't get the Farscape. You don't get there without all these things. So you must note how important the art of the movie is. That's where, objectively, I will probably get my points will go up a little, because this movie is art. Because Henson Magic is art. Muppet puppetry is art. And these are, at this point, these are masterful pros at this point. These are people who have been doing this for well over a decade now, and they know their art. They know what they're doing. I mean, Jim Henson is dead. Someone else is voicing Kermit. You know, Jim Henson was the original voice of Kermit. So
I did not know that.
We got somebody else doing the voice of Kermit. I think. I might have got that wrong. Pretty sure that's what the memory's telling me. But you have somebody else who's taken over as Kermit at this point. And they still managed to get in a couple of risque things, because you have to understand, in the 80s, the Muppet Show late at night, that was a little more adultish than kids. The Muppets were not always for kids. Originally, it was a little more an in-between thing, where they would bring on stars of the day to the Muppet Show, dun, 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 and they do a lot of risque stuff. And there was a moment there where Gonzo, where a chicken walks by, and he's like, hey, because Gonzo wants to fuck a chicken. Gonzo fucks chickens. Okay. So they kind of slip that stuff in there. But it's, at this point in 1982, it's a children's property. It's not for adults anymore. It's a children's property. And it's okay. It's okay. But the artistry is the real star. I think you're right when you brought that up.
Oh, 100%. And you keep bringing it up, rightfully so, that this is a children's movie that is it's for children by a studio who's targeting children. I think the biggest problem, though, is Disney especially, and across most of Disney's history since Walt died, doesn't differentiate enough between 5-year-olds and 15-year-olds. 5-year-olds and younger are the children that you soften up stories for, that you don't try to talk down to, but you try to make it as vanilla as possible.
Yeah.
But by the time you're getting into even 10 years old, the worst thing you can do to a 10-year-old and teenagers is talk down to them.
Yep.
And they feel like they're being talked down by their media, and that makes them feel like they're stupid. And I think it does cause problems for these kids when we can just, as a society, we dismiss children's movies' quality. I can't tell you, and you've experienced it yourself as well, how many times have we been in a discussion where they're like, well, this is a kid's movie, you're not allowed to criticize it. It's okay if it's the dumbest thing on earth, it's for kids, so it doesn't matter. I've even had that brought to me about Marvel. It's like, Marvel's for kids, so you shouldn't be talking about how well
Star Wars is for kids.
Exactly. So this dismissal of children's content, I think, is a gross oversight and a misunderstanding of children's psychology. 5-year-olds and 15-year-olds, even 5-year-olds and 10-year-olds are so drastically different. We don't want to talk down to them. And they're, like you said earlier, they're more than capable of handling some of the darker stories. That's why I differentiated with Walt, because Bambi is dark as hell. There's some dark stuff in the Walt Disney animated movies.
And we know it's a meme, and I know you've probably seen this, the 1980s child starter trauma kit. Never-ending story. And the death of Artax. There are some children who were out there in the 80s. They gave no fucks. It's like, we are going to traumatize the hell out of you, and you're gonna carry that with you.
For it, that's considered one of the last great solid generations, and I think it's partially because of this. And Disney's as much to blame for as any other studio. So hearing that the Muppets was sterilized a little bit, made more kid friendly after Disney's acquisition. Makes total sense to me.
Completely sterilized. You're right. Good way to put it. Yeah.
These days, studios, I think that example that I gave is very, very important. Studios don't differentiate enough between 5-year-olds and 15-year-olds. And so everything has to be a universal median for all kids. Children's entertainment shouldn't be one size fits all for all children. There's a reason preschooler entertainment is a thing. That's when you get to talk down to them, or at least
Bluey their ass all the way to hell.
Exactly. But Bluey shouldn't be what you try to craft for a 10-year-old. And that's why I agree with you. This story, The Muppets Christmas Carol, was at its best when it leaned into the darker elements. and believe that children could take it seriously.
Yeah.
And at its worst, when it tried to dilute those elements, tried to get in a cheap jab,
The songs,
a cheap jokes, the songs,
and cheap songs, cheap songs.
It's very similar to what's happened to Marvel. I know I made that comparison earlier, but the Marvel humor's become a thing. You can't go 5 seconds without a joke, and the emotional resonance is often destroyed by their over-reliance on humor these days.
One of the reasons the Ghost of Christmas Future segment works so well is because Gonzo and Rizzo effed off.
Mm-hmm.
They effed off. We're too scared. We're going to come back when we get back to the present. And that made that scene move at a better pace without their constant sight gags and commentary. It worked better. Worked much better. I agree. Yeah. So
just Michael Caine and a voiceless Muppet.
And that was Michael Caine at his best in the movie right there. At his best. So I've tried to be as fair as I can. That's why, as you pointed out, I've continued to say this is a children's movie, and I am judging it as an adult commenting on a children's movie. And why I stress, I disagree wholeheartedly with people who say this is the best version of A Christmas Carol, and this is one of the best Christmas movies of all time. I disagree 1,000%. It's a good movie. For kids, it's a great movie. For kids, it's a great movie. If I was rating this for kids, I'd give it a 9 out of 10 for kids. But
what age?
I would say 5 to 9. Because judging as somebody who was around that age when the Disney Renaissance began, and you got stuff like Little Mermaid and Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast, which were pretty hard-hitting movies. There's a lot of serious stuff going on in those movies. At around that age, 9, 10, 11, the impact was fine. Death, betrayal, Eric killing Ursula by stabbing her with a ship in Little Mermaid. You know, that kind of Aladdin, watching all the hardcore action goes in there. It lands, and it's fine. I'm not affected or afraid or damaged or anything. Like we asked a minute ago, I survived Artek's dying in Neverending Story. Okay? I'm prepared for these things. But you get a little bit past that, puberty starts to hit, and these songs are annoying. When you're between the ages of 5 and 10, the songs are okay. But these are not particularly catchy or memorable songs, if you ask me. Here's the thing. If I ever come into contact and have a discussion debating this movie, and they tell me how great it is, I will say, sing me one of these songs that are so great from this movie right now. Are these one of these songs imprinted on your personal zeitgeist? Is it imprinted like another Disney Renaissance song from Aladdin or Little Mermaid and stuff like that from Beauty and the Beast, where those songs are memorable?
I'd be very curious how they would answer, because
if this movie is so great,
but Marley and Marley's the only thing that stuck.
And I already forgot about that. I already forgot about that song. I mean, I would love to be these people who say that this movie is one of the greatest of all time, the greatest version of Christmas Carol. If you love it so much, you think it's so great, sing me one of these songs. Hum me, not even the words, hum me the tune. If it has made such an impact, you consider it so great. And I would ask people on the street, if you like Muppet Christmas Carol, yeah, I do. Sing me one of the songs. Hum me the tune. Hum me the chorus. Can you do that? I can't right now. None of it stuck with me. I mean, yeah, they have charm. Yeah, they have the Muppet charm, and that's the point. Rachel brings up, that's the point. It's got the Muppet charm, because that's the Muppet thing. Muppets always sing songs. When you go to Muppet Babies, the original Muppet movies in the 80s, the Muppets sing songs. That's a Muppet thing. And it's always about working together and stuff like that. But I don't remember them anymore. And I doubt this movie has the songs are that memorable for people. So I would love to have that in a debate about this movie. And it'll happen at some point. I know it will. There's going to be a Christmas tier movie debate, and I'm going to be arguing that this movie belongs in the B tier, because that's where it belongs, in the B tier, not the A or the S. And someone's going to fight me on it, and I'm going to say, okay, this movie's so great, these songs are so memorable, sing it for me, hum it for me, do it right now. If you watch this movie every Christmas, if you watch so many years, do it. And I wonder what will happen. Like I said, I wonder what's going to happen. This is me preparing.
I'm sure some diehards would absolutely be able.
Oh, there's always a diehard. There's always a diehard. But I mean, this is, you know me now. I always have my arguments pre-prepared. When I see this, I'm always ready for this stuff. I'm ready for it. So when it happens, I'm prepared. And this is what I've already cataloged in my brain. So this is not a bad movie. It's not a terrible movie. It's a good movie, but it's not the level to which some people glaze it, to use a current day term. I have nothing else to say. You got anything else?
No, I've said it. The biggest thing I wanted to talk about was the Jim Henson magic, which we did. And the humor worked for me, but humor is so subjective. And even charm, I think, is so subjective.
Excellent.
That's why my score is going to reflect that.
Yeah. So is mine. Now I'm going to try to... All right, so considering it was the chats, I'll just go first, considering the chat chose this one. All right. I've said the whole time, this is a children's movie. I'm an adult, a very old, grumpy, curmudgeon-y adult, according to all of you. And I like plenty of children's stuff still that still strike me. And we mentioned them in this conversation. The Renaissance Disney movies still strike a beautiful chord with me. And I still love those movies. And I enjoy them as an adult. And this came out right around the time of all those movies when I was still technically a kid. So I never saw this as a kid. I saw this later in life. I've seen this once before. And this is like the second, maybe third time I've ever seen this movie. And it never hit me. It never hit home. And it's a kids movie filled with Henson magic, great puppetry, great voice acting, great performances, good performances. Michael Caine is a solid performance. It's just missing the dramatic sting. It hits 90% of the proper Christmas Carol points that you have to hit. But as we mentioned, you're missing some of the stuff with the nephew that brings it all home in the end. And they copped it out for, let's have a giant banquet sing along. You got little Muppets on the screen, as you well put. But it's still just a kid's movie. It cannot be up there with some of the more powerful Christmas Carol performances. Therefore, I give it a 6.5 out of 10. That's the most objective I can be on this. If it was just a kids movie and I was grading it as a kids movie, I would give it a 9 out of 10 as a kids movie. But as a movie overall, constant songs, unnecessary humor, missing a few key story points, and dumbing it down at certain points to dumb it down as they think they need to for kids, I got to put it at 6.5. I got to. All right, what do you got?
Well, I think people are going to be surprised about how close we are because this story is built on a very strong foundation. The Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens is an incredibly tight, well-written masterpiece. So they're already starting out at a great starting point. And when they adhere to that framework, they do very, very well, like the Third Ghost. And all those aspects of it from the actual Christmas Carol elevate this. And the humor works for me, but humor is so subjective that it can't be lended to objective quality. So with all that said, and then of course Jim Henson magic being phenomenal, I have to give this film a 6.5 also.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay. And we're right there with each other. And once again, I'm mainly being critical because people glaze this movie so hard. That's why I'm being very critical.
That's how we feel about Avatar. Like if Avatar 2009 had just been like made $500 million and be like, yeah, we really like that movie. It was very pretty, but not attached their personalities to it. I don't think either of us would hate Avatar. But because it's been hyped up as one of the greatest things ever, and then you watch it and it's like, yeah, it's a pretty turd. What the hell? And
it still stinks.
That's an extreme example. I'm not saying that Muppets is a
yeah.
But just over glazing can have a negative impact on subjective enjoyment.
And this movie gets glazed heavily by a lot of people. We've seen it on many occasions. So there it is. People aren't happy with that.
I'm definitely going to rewatch it next year.
I'm never going to
for us.
And unless I have kids, maybe one day, hopefully I will. I'm never going to watch this again. This is the Christmas Carol I watch every year. This one. That's the reason I own it. Got it for a deal too. Only $9, so it was a good buy. Anyway, all right. I believe it's your choice for next week when we come back from Christmas break because we're not here next weekend. So
okay, that's what I was wondering. Yeah. So I haven't picked anything because
you haven't. All right, yet. All right, great. So you got time. We'll let you know at some point what it's going to be. Anyway, so there we go. Oh, quiet bot. Nobody wants to hear from you.
I like the movie Legatus.
I don't hate the movie, but it's a kids movie. It's a kids movie dealing with adult material, and and they just kid it up too much. Is my point, and it's glazed too heavy. And like I said, I'm heavily affected by the fact that people are constantly putting in my face, "This is the greatest, it's the best, it's goated." That affects me. I get very triggered when people glaze something too heavily and can't defend it, and they repeat themselves and why it's good, which is why I build up challenging questions to why it's so good, and I want to get answers. If they're going to defend your stance, all I ask is defend your stance. I'm ready to defend my stance.
Have an argument.
Are you? Argument. Great way to put it. And not just I'm going to yell at you argument. Have reasons.
No, like a cogent argument to support your position.
Exactly. Anyway, so we are done. We will not be here next week because it's Christmas weekend. Even though Christmas is on Wednesday, Thursday next week, I'm giving people the weekend off. People might have extended trips, traveling. I'm not going to make anybody do something and now doesn't mean there might not be streams, but nothing official. It means no drive-in, no round table, none of that stuff. But pickup streams might happen, but nothing official. So we hope that if we don't see anybody before next weekend, other stuff, we hope you all have a Merry Christmas and also a Happy New Year. So until then, guys, you be safe out there. Have a good time, and we'll catch you later. Right phrase. I forgot the phrase I was going to use. Catch you guys later. Take it easy.